starting again. Hi, I'm trying the video again. If you out there and you can hear me, please just type Y for yes or YES so that I may know. Let me try it here to see whether you guys can hear me. All right, I have to find myself here and see. All right, let's see here. You guys can hear me. Yeah, I think you guys. Yeah, I can hear myself here now. So I think I should be good to go. Yeah, I think I should be good to go now. All right, I should be good to go here. Let me try to get some folks. If you don't mind sharing the video for me, I will appreciate that. But I would like to share it with few groups so that folks can join me here. It's not going to be long. As you can see the title out there, Constructive Suggestion and Advisory Warning to President-elect George Weah. I have some information through my suggestion to share with him, and I would like you guys to be part of this suggestion because it's going to be kept into the technology history so that whatever I'm going to say, whether it comes to fruition or it done, you guys will know that I once said it, and you will be on record to prove whether I was right or wrong. So let me do something quickly here to the last group here, and then be able to start the whole thing, the ball rolling here. Okay, so I think I'm good to go. So again, I would like to thank everyone who have joined so far. My coming here is something special today. Usually it would be Tunis and myself on the CDC Our USA show, but today I decided to come solo because I have a personal message for President-elect Senator George Weah, not as a citizen, but this time around as a professional. Let me thank all citizens and all meaningful Liberians for supporting our peace process in our country. It showed to the world that we are making progress in the direction of becoming one of the successful democratic republics on the continent and in the world. And when I saw what Mr. Borka did yesterday, I was very amazed. Tears came down my eyes because that was almost like in the United States where the loser will send a concede message to the winner. Having said that, guys, I want to also thank all the citizens for standing very strong behind Ambassador Weah, now President-elect Weah, for the past 12 years. I mean, you guys are proving to be very strong in everything that you plan to do, and looking at Senator President-elect Senator George Weah to lead us in the direction we want to be. But here's what I have to say. I know you guys want to join me, but please just give me 10 to 15 minutes. I would like to say a few things so that we can have this conversation, please, because it's very important. I want you to get this point so that we can have this conversation. It's very, very important. So please just give me 10 to 15 minutes. Now, here is what I want to say to President-elect George Weah. Our people of Liberia overwhelmingly elected you as president. Now you are president-elect. Based on that, they have invested their interest in you, and they look forward to you leading them to some sort of good life. Is it going to be quick? Absolutely not. Here what it's going to take. It's going to take your platform with your vision and your goals to achieve whatever you want for the people of Liberia. That said, President-elect, you are not president for Madam Salif. You are not president for the coalition. You are not president for me, Randy. You are not president for Dave Kaye on here. You are not president for my brother Armstrong. You are not president for Saib Bangura. You are president of the Republic of Liberia, in which everyone that I named so far are part of that country. You now represent everyone within our country. What I think you need to start to look at first is the issue of reconciling the country. That should be the first step, and that should be done simultaneously. Second issue here is when it comes to how you place people in government. This is where my 4 suggestions are going to start. Suggestion number 1. I have 4 suggestions. So guys, I want you guys to listen to that. I have 4 suggestions. Suggestion number 1. I saw a lot of folks who came from other political parties to join you in our effort. I appreciate that. That's what I call partnership. The partnership with you in order to have you elected. Kudos to them. But the people of Liberia, in and outside the country, know the work ethics, know the scorecards of Mr. Eric Starter, Mr. Weston Finley, Mr. Glenwood McIntosh, Mr. Winston Toppet, Mr. Professor Sonny. The people of Liberia know their scorecards. So suggestion number 1, I would suggest to you that those gentlemen I just named, they should be on your advisory board. They should serve as an advisor to you. The reason they should be in our role is because the people of Liberia have seen what they have done. They have what I would describe as their scorecard. They know their capabilities. So suggestion number 1 is to put those guys on your advisory board. Suggestion number 2, when it comes to your cabinet and your directors, I want you to have that open vision, because right now there are a lot of people who have surrounded themselves around you, preventing other people from getting closer to you. That is not healthy. What is healthy is for you to have that portal between Liberian in the diaspora and local Liberian, because that will give you the opportunity to flex your understanding of how things should be done. Because why? Almost everyone in Liberia, you Ambassador, we know what their work ethics are, what are their performances. You know it all. Nevertheless, you can still bring them on board. That said, when it comes to your recruitment process, I want you and your team, your transitional team, to be able to bring in and vet the best. Suggestion A, on suggestion 2, whoever you're going to select as your minister for any ministry, let that person doing your interaction with them or your team be able to come up with a 3 years vision plan for that ministry. 3 year vision plan for that ministry. The reason for doing that is to effect changes. That also goes to your directors. Whoever you're going to appoint as your director should also be able to come up with a 3 year plan to effect that agency performance. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I'm an analyst. President Johnson's study became a massive failure, which caused Booker to lose this election because he had no record that Eddie Johnson's study was able to establish for the past 12 years, and it failed. And the reason for that is people handpicked people, whether it was in Liberia, whether it was abroad, and took them to President Johnson's study. And all she did was to take them and put them in position without even asking them for their credentials. Now, still speaking about that credential, Mr. Eugene Fagon, if you don't know Randy, you're going to know me. I admire everything you did to Mr. Boyka. I'm a citizen, you're a citizen. Having mentioned what I think Ambassador Weah should do for whoever he's going to put in the cabinet position or in the director position, whoever will be chosen for every ministry, Mr. Fagon, you and I have to make sure that we present that person education, we present that person work experience to show to the Liberian people that that person is indeed was vetted and we have seen what that person is made of. If you cannot do it, I will do it. Because you know why? The failure in the past has been government officials from the president have failed to vet people. They only took people who they had close association with and they put them in position. That is why you saw President Sharif just keep reshuffling, because she didn't have that vision to determine what she really wanted to get out of her platform. Ambassador Weah has used his platform to tell the people of Liberia that he will bring up a change. So as member of the CDC team, before we take the cow to the waterside, I want to make sure that it's a healthy cow. What do I mean by that? Before President-elect George Weah take office, I want to make sure that I be on record to tell him what I'm telling you now. Because I predicted that Mr. Trump was going to win this election because Hillary Clinton baggages she had. He did win the election. I predicted in March that Ambassador Weah was going to win this election because Ellen Johnson said he had failed to execute what she should have done. Now I'm saying to Mr. Weah, what I just said, you must be able to listen to me and be able to at least process what I'm telling you so that you can become successful. Now, that said, when it comes to check and balance in the system, you represent the people. You do not represent the national legislature. You do not represent President Salif. You do not represent the Supreme Court. You represent the people of Liberia. That said, I want you in your term of office to have your press call at least 3 days in a week, to have them invite the press team to sit and listen to your press secretary, giving them an update on what you are doing to meet the needs of our people. The reason for doing that is to create check and balance in the system. I'm not saying you should do it the way Trump is doing it here. I'm saying as president, you came with a vision. That vision was in your platform. We discussed that platform here for you. Now we want to see the effect that it's going to have. It is one thing to have the plan. It is another thing to brief the strategy and ideas into that plan. And that is what I'm trying to present to you here. So I would like to see, on a weekly basis, you have an update. And that update is your obligation to the people of Liberia. Again, you are not president for You are not president for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You are not president for Gregory McIntosh. You are not president for Professor Tappe. You are not president for Bwesonga Finlay. You are not president for Mr. Suning. Also, I want you to also maintain institutional knowledge people. That is from the assistant director down to the janitor in every ministry, in every agency. That's what we call institutional knowledge. These people understand how the agency works. They understand how the ministry works. Those are the institutional knowledge of people. Those are the people you have to maintain. Now, when it comes to performance, I will also want you to have a council that will monitor all the performances of the ministers, your directors. The reason for doing that is to determine whether your goal is being achieved. Because when it comes the following year for you to give your State of the Nation address, each ministry should be able to outline to you what they have achieved from that goal they gave you, what are the challenges, and how are they going to solve this problem. During your inaugural speech also, Mr. President-elect, I don't want you to say, I promise to do this. No. So many leaders have promised and they have not been able to deliver. I want you to talk about solutions as to how you're going to find ways to improve the living standard of our people. Be able to say that in your speech. Do not say, I'm going to promise you, because history has shown that a lot of promises haven't been realized because people promise, but they don't plan before they promise. So please, I'm saying this because I was on my show with Tunis. We defended you, and this is the time now that I got to provide these constructive suggestion and warning to you. Failure to follow this instruction, Mr. President, you're going to go right back into the sea swan, and the people are going to start criticizing you. And those who think that I'm looking for a job, you're going to see me because I will be here to providing constructive criticism about Ambassador Weah government. I am not saying this thing for you guys to hit me. I want for Ambassador Weah to succeed because I'm an individual who have been in so many places that I have been able to contribute to the success of wherever I work. That is why I'm saying this thing here. Now, when your ministers are confirmed and are given the opportunity to serve you within the first 60 days, they should be able to come up with that 3-year vision plan they gave you. They should be able to come up with a smart goal strategy that will tell you how they want to achieve those things. Take, for example, if you take somebody for the Ministry of Agriculture. Right now, we are importing pepper, all kind of crap that we can use on our soil. Liberia is not on the ocean where we don't have land. We have a vast land. So let the Minister of Agriculture, in his plan, be able to tell you how can he or she increase rice production, how can he or she increase like soybeans, corn, how can we turn those things into process in order to create production in our country. Because any country that continues to export raw material, it is not going to increase economic growth. So let them be able to do these things. Secondly, I was very disappointed in Madam Salif when she took the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs and put that underneath the Ministry of Finance. That was wrong. Here's why. The Ministry of Planning is to project the economic strength of our country in terms of our resources. It is also responsible to determine the exponential growth of our population. That ministry should be a stand-alone ministry. They are also responsible to carry on planning in the rural areas that involve all the other ministry performance. That was wrong on Madam Salif's part to do such a thing. So another suggestion to you is to be able to take that ministry out of finance and make it a stand-alone ministry. All right? That will be suggestion number 3. All right? On the check and balance system. Now, the final part here, the final suggestion to you, Mr. President-elect, is to be able to stay away from Madam Salif. You can listen to what she has to tell you, but you don't necessarily have to follow them. You must have open-minded people. You should bring in bright ideas, bright minds. There are many Liberians out here in America, in Europe, in Thailand, in Australia. Try to seek for these people. Look for them. Because the more fresh idea you bring into your government, they are not part of the traditional society of folks that include Mr. Tyler, Mr. Weston Finley, Mr. Winston Tapper, Mr. Greyway McIntosh. When you bring those folks out to join you, they are not going to work in your government. Some may want to work, some may want to consult. But the reason you bring in that idea together is to make sure that you get a refined decision that will help you. Because people that come from the outside come in with a lot of vision that they can give to you. That is why I'm appealing to you that those folks that just name and continue to name should be on the advisory board and not in your cabinet or on your directory staff within the area that you have total control, because it's not going to help. So again, Mr. Fagon, I want you to join me. Let us be able to show to the people of Liberia, to the critics of Ambassador Weah, that whoever he's going to select to serve in this different position, we need to make sure that that individual resume, because once you are in government, your record is public. There are certain records we cannot present, but things like your educational credential, your resume, your work experience, your ethics, these are things that I would suggest that we present to the people of Liberia. And the reason we're doing that is to assure them that Ambassador Weah is indeed making a very considerable choices of our people, so that when they start to perform and they don't perform well, whether it's Moba Molu, whether it's Magel, if they don't meet the performance level of your government, tell them, my brother, we can find somewhere else for you to perform. Because what you will be telling them is, I represent the people of Liberia. They expect more from me, but I have to strategize ways in how I can achieve the more they want from me by making sure that I put plan into action, and action deliver result, and result will be evaluated, and then we can continue to look for another performance to increase other area. So having said that, guys, I want to stop here because it's not something long. I just want to make sure that this message be shared with Ambassador Weah, because right now I have been here trying to support him. I cannot get to him. Thank God for technology. Now this medium that we have to our advantage, someone in his circle will say, you know what, you might want to listen to this. Because you know what, at the end of every year into the new year, the State of the Nation address, based on your minister performance, they will give you report that they will be able to, I mean, those reports will enable you to tell the national legislature and the world and the people of Liberia how well are you doing in your government. And it will build for you the track record that you will not have to campaign for the second term. Because when you lay that foundation, you will not have to campaign. You should learn. You saw how Mr. Boka struggled because bad pace. Sorry for that interruption. I was getting the call. She set a very bad pace for him, which is why he was unable to succeed. So this conversation will continue. I will be on the platform by myself. If I see things happening in the WIA administration that does not affect changes, I will come back here and let you guys know about it. So till then, I don't know if anyone has anything to say, but that's all I have for now. I wish President President-elect WIA, I wish him success. And I also want to make sure that you out there and myself, we should rally around by coming up with this suggestion so that his government can take heed to somebody's suggestion. Because if he doesn't take any of these advices from us and things happen, then we will be on record. I will be on record, you will be on record. So you should have that openness and allow good conversation to be here, because we have to, rest assured that my brother God is saying that good decision will be made. I want to see people who will be in your government that will be here accountable for what they do. I don't want to see the old school people, because we already know who they are, folks. And one thing I also want to encourage Mr. Weir to do, I want to make sure that he get into the business of also bringing folks who will consult with the government. And, bring folks who will consult. Liberians can consult with the government. That alone will cut down costs, expenditure, like gas slips, like vehicles. And one thing too, when you have your plan, Ambassador, I forgot to inject this into the conversation. If you have any plan for our people, like you want to increase tuition and the House of Representatives, that include the Senate and the representatives, and the both Senate and the representatives, if the guys in the House are refusing, you might want to come on the social media, call a press conference, tell the people you represent that the folks in the House there, this is what I'm trying to do. They are not giving me the chance to do it. They are your elected district representative. Call them up. Try to expose them. If they refuse to do anything, expose them to the public and to the world. Trust me, little by little, as we go through the election period, they will all be kicked out, and those who want to make sure that they meet the needs of the people will be put into office. Do not give them simple hand, because at the end of the day, when you take side with them and you fail, trust me, Mr. Weir, you don't want to walk down on Broad Street for people to look down and say, look at him. And many people have said that, oh, your education is not this, is not that, which I don't believe. But in order to test those who have education, like I said, when you select your minister, let them give you their 3 years vision plan within 60 days upon you accepting them to take that office. They should come up with a smart goal plan. It's one thing to be book educated, and it is another thing to be well experienced with years of experience educated. That is the mistake Eddie Johnson said he made. So again, thank you guys so much. Anybody who want to participate, you are welcome to do so. If not, I need to take a hike. I got stuff to do. It's snowing out here. So if you want to join the conversation, please let me add you on. I think my Mata want to come in. Let me hit in here. What they say here, they will receive an invite. Okay, I got an invite. My Mata, I think. So that make you vulnerable. Now remember, from 2005 to 2011, Mr. Bronsky was quiet. He didn't say anything. But now he looked into the crystal ball now and feel that there is no hope for him. So what he decided to do now? He decided now to take his own interests, the interest that would benefit him. So he went against the out. We have voter irregularities. It's obvious that it's supposed to happen. Voter irregularities is supposed to happen. It's obvious. But what it is not obvious is the process involved. NEC has the legal authority in our country by law and by rule and by article within NEC regulation that once the election between
Yes, tonight is the night. We're going to reaction to the Supreme Court.
Deliver on Thursday. Probably did not, give thought.
With them since last week. Respond to the Supreme Court decision tonight. Anthony Jones, how you doing? Please let me know where you're watching from. Mama Fule, hey, Mama Fule, how you doing? You at work? You at the work? You work at the airport? Are you there already? Okay, tonight we are going to discuss about the the response to the from the Supreme Court to Brumskin. That's what we are here for. So my man will be coming soon. Let me just hang out with you guys. You want to hang out with me for a minute? He will be here. He's an analyst, political analyst, and also environmental analyst. So he's going to be here. Jackson R. Kenny, how you doing? Long time, big brother. Yeah, we're still around. We're around. Thank God. To you, Harris. Hey, T, what's up? We'll be discussing about the response today. So we're going to react to that response. That's what we are here for tonight. So be patient. Be patient with us. Just a minute, and my brother will be here to respond, to react to that. Peace, Tunis. Yeah. Anthony and June. Hey, Miss, what's up, bro? Just hang out for a minute. My brother going to be here. He's going to be here soon. Then we would begin. Let me just call him now. Dapper, don't worry. We'll soon start the ball rolling. Soon start the ball rolling. Okay, if you're listening, Dapper. Okay. He'll be going to be here soon. Irene, hey, what's up, Irene? I know where you're watching from. Emmanuel Kesseli Nangbe is watching. Where you watching from, Emmanuel? Let me know. How you guys been watching? You're welcome to the show. Tonight's show is all about the Supreme Court in Liberia responded to Brumskin. And we're going to react to that response. If you want to take part in it, you can. But just a minute, we'll be here, and the discussion will begin. Because I have an expert who know how to at least go into the mind of the politician, into their head, and bring us what they mean about what they say. Supreme Court today, their ruling was for Brumskin to go back to NEC, which is National Election Commission, and listen so they can give him the result. If he is not satisfied with it, then he can proceed back to Supreme Court. That's what we're going to be discussing here. So I wish my brother can hurry up to come over, because I'm waiting for him, but I hardly can see him. Are you going to come or not? Walter John Weir, James Weir, what's up, man? How you doing? Okay, we are here discussing about Liberia politics. They put a halt to the elections. They ran up election, which was supposed to be tomorrow, the 7th, but it's being time indefinite right now. Okay, he's here. My brother is here. Okay, I'm going to send him the invite. Hey, Dapo, we are waiting for you. We want the ball to be rolling. We are here only for 45 minutes. So we are not going more than 45 minutes. The program is only 45, the most 1 hour. So sit tight and just listen. It's all about Liberian politics. We are going to discuss about the decision the Supreme Court rendered today. So that's what the discussion is going to be surrounding. So don't worry, be happy. Everything will be cool. We are here only for 45 minutes, not more than 45, at least probably 1 hour. So if you want to hang around, my expert is coming. My guest will be here soon. I'm trying to invite him to join me. Duke. What's up, Duke? Okay. Elijah King Lee. Hey, my camera brother, how you doing? I'm waiting for my man to enter so that we can discuss Liberian politics. And you guys are welcome. You may, if you are, you satisfied, whatever. Okay, at least you can see him. This is my expert. He's a political analyst, and he has an MA in environmental something. He's an analyst of everything. The two good majors is major in two good subject, which is politics and environmental something. So today he's going to be telling us about, he's going to go into the mind of Brumskin and also the mind of the Supreme Court. He has been with them since last week, and today they came out with a decision. My brother Randy, how are you today?
Hey, Tunis, I'm doing great, and thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it. 45 minutes. I think it will be a quick learning experience for our followers to get to understand what is actually unfolding in the country. So thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, before we go further, Randy, can you just introduce yourself for our listeners? Just briefly introduce yourself, who you are. Are you a Liberian or American or Jamaican? And what do you do so far before we go into our topic?
Yeah, my name is Randolph Darpo, and I'm an environmental policies and analyst. I look at every spectrum of society from the regulatory standpoint, from the policy standpoint, and I also have an engineering degree in environmental engineering, and I do have a computer science degree as well. But over the course of the year, most of my expertise has been looking at policies, the behavior of human being, their interaction with society, why they make decisions, what is the benefit, and what can I do to undo some of the benefits by exposing the behaviors in that. And on top of that, too, I'm also very much in tune to politics. I have a very great general knowledge in politics, and not to mention Liberian politics. I'm very good at analyzing our politicians because over the course of the year, I understood what their positions are, when they strike and when not to strike, when they align and when not to align. So this conversation here is going to be basically about the decision of the Supreme Court tonight. So today, thanks for having me. I want people to look at me as someone who look at things from an analytical point of view, from the root cause to the deviations and why things are happening and why we continue to go in circle and what solution can I provide in terms of that. Thank you, Tunis.
Thank you for that introduction. That's a very fine introduction. So you know the value of the man who is right before you here today to talk about Liberian politics. What was the delay about from the Supreme Court? Anyway.
Well, I think the Supreme Court took the bait from Mr. Bronsky for the fact that we have institutions in our country, and if we are to grow our environment, I mean, if we are to grow our institution, we must build confidence and trust in our institution. So when Mr. Bronsky filed the report with the Supreme Court, I think they had to juggle between whether they should accept or whether they should not. So um, they got caught up between rock and hard places. So in the final analysis, they decided to come up with a decision that everyone has been talking about, which is about due process, following the process that is applicable to our society. So as you can see today, they came up with that decision, which is giving a U-turn back to the NEC, which is the governing body that oversee the election in our country.
But one thing I would like for you to let us know from last week when the case was presented to the Supreme Court,
Correct.
and they told us that they were going to get back to us on Thursday, and which Thursday was a national holiday. Why would they come up with a decision like that? And well, they were knowing that it's going to be a holiday. Why was that?
Well, apparently they got caught up in the process, not knowing that was an oncoming holiday. And for the most part, too, like you observe on the news, they have the ECOWAS delegation in the country. They too are also trying to weather the storm in the country in regards to what the decision of the Supreme Court would turn out to be. So all these factors build all the chemistry that the publicists, I mean, that came up with the fact that they were going to deliver on Thursday, probably did not, give thought to the fact that Thursday was going to be a holiday. So, I mean, that's a lesson learned, and that's why we're supposed to have publicists who will look at the calendar to determine on what is ahead and when and why can we make or not make the kind of statement. So those are some of the reasons that they flip like that. But I think they learned their lesson too, Tunis.
But do you think Bronsky really went through the due process to take the court case directly from NEC without NEC giving him any response and just taking it straight to the Supreme Court? Was he taking the right process?
No,
Is that?
You see, Bronsky is a calculated politician. He's a calculated politician that only in there for himself. Because, like I told folks tonight, I like to look at the deviation, the root cause analysis as to what thing happened and why. Let's look at 2005. 2005 had an election, Tunis, and for every election, you have to generate a report that is described as the post-election report. And that post-election report will look at the near misses, the opportunity to improve, the recommendation. That is to prepare for the next future election. Mr. Bronsky was part of that. Ambassador Weah was part of that. President Johnson said he was part of that. Ambassador Weah was the only person who came out to say, you know what, we have some irregularities. How can we face the irregularities? But he got thrown down. People disregard what he was saying. We jumped into 2011. Same thing happened. This time it was Ambassador Weah, and it was also Honorable Tubman. They came again with the same issue of voter irregularities in the election. Again, the same people turned around again and forgot about listening to Ambassador Weah. They decided to move on. Now today, Honorable Bronsky knows very well that the party that he was aligning himself with, President Andy Johnson Sirleaf, is not supporting the Unity Party anymore. So that makes him vulnerable. Now, remember, from 2005 to 2011, Mr. Bronsky was quiet. He didn't say anything. But now he looked into the crystal ball now and feel that there's no hope for him. So what he decided to do now? He decided now to take his own interests, the interest that would benefit him. So he went against the out. We have voter irregularities. It's obvious that it's supposed to happen. Voter irregularities is supposed to happen. It's obvious. But what it is not obvious is the process involved. NEC has the legal authority in our country by law and by rule and by article within NEC regulation that once the election result is announced, after 7 days, you can file your appeal and followed by a 30-day investigation by NEC and her staff. Now, Mr. Bronsky knew that his allegation was insufficient to substantiate his claim with NEC. But because he felt he knows the law, he decided to what? To now wait for the closure from NEC to give him that right to go to the Supreme Court. What did he do, Tunis? He took a case to the Supreme Court. While the case was still being investigated, Musa Belidi was representing Unity Party, presenting the cases of what they had discovered. But Bronsky felt that because there was a projected date that was given by NEC, he used his constitutional right to go to the Supreme Court. But here's the thing that he failed to make the Liberian people to understand. As long as that 30 days is not concluded, there's no closure to his case, it was going to be impossible to have that election. Because the Supreme Court wouldn't even allow that when you have an ongoing case with a candidate who, for the fact, has a lot of people aligning with his philosophy. So he decided to disrespect the due process that he talked about. He did respect that process, which I wanted Liberian people to understand that when you run an institution, no matter who you are, we need to make sure that we respect the rules regarding any institution in the country. That's how we learn to be good citizens and make our country better. Instead, he jumped to the Supreme Court. Remember, we had 30 days. So between all the time you are running to the Supreme Court and NEC having the ability to analyze, guess what happened? The case today came out to say, you know what? Since you asked for this stay order, there's nothing we can do. We're granting the stay order. Go back to the go back to NEC to have the issue resolved. But what? Hello, Tunis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay, okay, all right. This is why the Supreme Court should have done. Why it is true that Mr. Bronsky has a right. The very day he filed his report with the Supreme Court regarding the stay order, the Supreme Court, knowing very well that NEC had 30 days, they should have denied his appeal and say, you know what, we're going to instruct NEC to make sure that your case is processed and they present a conclusion to you before you come back to us. They didn't do it. They took a bit, and because of that, the Supreme Court managed to take some days away from the 30 days that NEC supposed to have taken to investigate the case, which is why today the court said the case has been sent, the issue has been ordered, go back to NEC so that NEC can speedily investigate the case. The reason they use the word speedily is because the Supreme Court has taken days out of that too. So now it's up to NEC. But I tell you what, NEC already has a result because NEC, through the different press conferences, NEC through their communication online, have proven that Mr. Bronsky does not have a case. So it's going to be a very fast-track decision that will be given back to Mr. Bronsky that he doesn't have a case. And guess what Mr. Bronsky is going to do? Mr. Bronsky now is going to go back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court now is going to decide his fate. As you know, the Supreme Court is the arbiter of law in our country and the final decision maker. Now, there is the caveat to that. Remember, Eddie Snow is part of the Unity Party that has aligned itself with Mr. Bronsky. When he worked on that committee of justices, I'm having a little doubt because there's a conflict of interest right there. So I want the Liberian people to look at this, that if the decision favor Mr. Bronsky and Mr. Snow West is on that committee, I can say for a fact that she may play some role. So to take herself out of any kind of shenanigan, I would suggest that she recuse herself from that process. And here is why. Because Mr. Snow had gone to the same Supreme Court with cases, and he had won those cases. But those cases have been very minute cases. But this case is a very large case that we don't want to take for granted. Because you know what? We have two significant parties that are the outstanding party in the country, and we want that election to be held and not to be put in some kind of debacle that would derail our election. So I'm also calling that his wife recuse herself should, in case Mr. Bronsky go back for the final hearing of his case. But the NEC going to have a very fast track of Mr. Bronsky's case, which they're going to deny, and they're going to recommend a forward step into the runoff election.
But how come Unity Party got involved into this case, and they have already agreed to go for the runoff with CDC? How come they became an adversary to this particular case?
I tell you what, there are two things. Number one, Unity Party does not have the calculus. They does not have the chemistry to win this election. So they resulted to Bronsky derail process. Because think about it, Eddie Johnson said he had been the brain behind the Unity Party. She had been the mobilizer, she had been the motivator, she had been the financier, she had been the brain. But because she decided to take a back seat, knowing for the well that Mr. Boca does not have the juice to become the next president, she decided to take the back seat. Secondly, most of her folks that are bitter with her, the legs of Councilor Bronsky, including Boca himself, Eddie Snow, these are all the different people that differ with Ellen Johnson's philosophy. So they all align themselves now with the Unity Party. But they have nothing to prove. Remember, Tunis, before we got into this stuff, they were preaching what? The message of war, 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 war. Because they don't have message. How will a party that in power for 12 years don't have a message for the Liberian people? That tell you that they didn't do a good job. So what it resulted to? They resulted to what? Creating chaos among our people, that there will be war. Ambassador Weah win. And we know that Ambassador Weah, who he is, has been the UN ambassador, has been the peace reconciler through the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, and he has done extremely well in that role. Number two, he also had served as presidential candidate within his party, and he also has served as VP in your party, and they had irregularities, but because of the sake of our people, they allow these things to go ahead. But Unity Party feel that they don't have the numbers, they don't have the capability to make the second round, so they're not aligned with Mr. Walker Bronsky. Mr. Walker Bronsky has become the spoiler of this election. He has nothing to lose because he has been a third place person for the past 3 elections. So he coming in now as the spoiler. Guess what is happening here? Unity Party that don't have the means to go to the second round to win this election has decided to join the fray, to derail the process, to create frustration within the mind of our people, which is why I'm on here to say, you know what? Look at Unity Party record. Look at Mr. Bronsky's record. Since when did Mr. Bronsky took interest into voter irregularities? Why didn't he speak about this in 2005? Why didn't he speak about it in 2011? Why didn't he speak about it before the election on 2017?
This is a man who didn't even take 10% of the voting record in Liberia. He didn't even come up to 10%. Why is he taking these steps? And for the matter of fact that he's not going anywhere with this case anyway, even if they have to rerun this over and over more than 5 times, he's always going to be the 3rd place or the 4th place. Where is he taking this to?
Well, it's a political manipulation of game. You know what they're trying to do here? Bronsky, as I told you, is a calculated politician. What he's doing now is a mind game. He wants to drag and derail this process so that the voters in the country can get frustrated. And in his mind, he feels that that is going to build Unity Party to gain more status in terms of numbers. So dragging the process, going to frustrate people, people are going to give up, people are going to get tired, and they're going to go away. But guess what? The multi-Congress for of a democratic change, all right? The CDC party will continue to remain resolute. They continue to remain focused. They continue to keep their guard, which is why when you hear today's decision, look, to this, I want to give thanks to members of the CDC party for being so organized. If you look at some of the images that were on Facebook today, they had the police were in full gear. They have the surveillance population that criticize the CDC all the time. They were all watching to see what the CDC was going to do today, not knowing that CDC is not the problem in our country. When the result was announced, the police came in high gear. Did you see any commotion in the street? Absolutely not. Did you see anybody causing chaos? Absolutely not. Because the CDC is focused on one thing, and that thing is we are waiting for the runoff so we can take Ambassador Weah to the executive mansion. That shows that the party is focused. So what Mr. Bronsky and Unity Party are doing is just wasting people's time and don't want to move forward.
I would like for you to go into the mind of the Election Commission. What do you think they are coming? What will be their response to Mr. Bronsky? And do you think that response going to get Mr. Bronsky back to the Supreme Court, or he just going to waive it? Because I overheard that he doesn't even trust the Election Commission. And where are we going with this if he doesn't trust the Election Commission? And this is the Election Commission that went through this process, the first round, and there was a date for the second round. Until now, we came to this dilemma. How can we? How can you go into the mind of the Election Commission?
Well, the Election Commission mind had already been made up. They see Mr. Bronsky allegation as an isolated issue and as a mere scam to derail the process. Here's why. The Election Commission had come out with the ballots that Mr. Bronsky was claiming that was actual real ballot that became a fraud. Those were brochures. Those were brochures. When you vote in other countries, they gave you the final brochure to look at in order to determine who you're actually going to vote for. Those are the ballots that Mr. Bronsky brought forward as evidence. And besides that, the magistrate of every county and district within our country, the next administration have contacted these people, and they are proving that there is not any sort of voter irregularity or fraud that took place during our election. So the decision, their decision now to Mr. Bronsky would be, there isn't enough evidence to prove that there were any sort of irregularities. Will that time elapse? Absolutely, Tunis. There will be time elapsed, because you know what? Since 1847, when it rains, the southern part of the country, southeastern part of the country is divided from the northern part. All right, and then from the northern part is always divided from the east and the west because of bad road condition. Those things will equate to having lapses in the time. But does that equate to massive fraud or lapses in our election process? Absolutely not. So Mr. Bronsky's claim is not going to be sufficient to have any decision from NEC in his favor. But guess what he's going to do? When he gets that, he's not going to relax now, because NEC already made up our mind. He is now going to run to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, of all courts that we know in the country, we have a deadline of January 18th. So January 18th is supposed to be the inaugural day. I can say for a fact that the Supreme Court is going to tell Mr. Bronsky, based on the NEC decision, as an institution that we trust to run our election in this country, we deem it unnecessary to move forward with this case, and NEC has to look into itself to determine what can be done to correct the process, which is why I'm always calling for post-election report, because the post-election report will give the next election commissioner the opportunity for improvement, to improve the system. We have an ecosystem in our country, whether it's governmental ecosystem, whether it's the family ecosystem, whether it's a private ecosystem, there will always be margin errors. But those marginal errors can be corrected to prevent further mistakes in the future, which is why I have been calling for post-election report to determine what has gone wrong. And Mr. Bronsky has not been an advocate for these things, but only because he feels that he has aligned himself with the Unity Party that want to create chaos, because they feel in their mind that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is supporting Mr. Weah and the Joel Howard ticket. So they all have supported, they all are supporting him now to go after the Supreme Court in the legal way to derail the peace process, which is unfair to the people of Liberia.
But this is the man that say he doesn't have trust in the election commission. Now, where are we going with this?
They say when the New Year will be good or the Christmas will be good, you can tell from the Eve. He hasn't even gone there yet, but he has already started to cause trouble. Mr. Bronsky is a spoiler. He's a spoiler of peace. He's a spoiler of our political process. He had no good intention for that country, because he hasn't even gone there to test what the Supreme Court is made of. Remember, Mr. Bronsky had a beef. Remember when Harrison Conway was denied by the Election Commission of violating the code of conduct? What did Mr. Bronsky? Yeah, he ran to the Supreme Court and got it well, which is why when NEC was investigating his case, he felt that he was not going to get his chance. So he jumped the gun again and went to the Supreme Court. But this time around, he got a punch in the face and said, you know what? We hold our stay order, go back to NEC and go reconcile with them for you guys to have that hearing. And if that hearing turns your way, fine. If it doesn't turn your way, we are here. But again, Tunis, Mr. Bronsky is a spoiler. He's a political manipulator. He's not in the interest of the Liberian people. He and Honorable Borka, I feel sorry for Mr. Borka. This is a man who people claim that he has 42 years record. All right? Do you think for a second that the position that Mr. Borka in, preparing himself for second round, do you think if Bronsky were in that position, knowing who he is, this is a man who was corporate lawyer for a company in his own county, and he put his county under the bus and supported a corporate organization that was disturbing and inhumanly treating his people. Do you think if he had the opportunity that Mr. Borka is in today, Tunis, do you think he was going to take side with what Mr. Borka was going to do, which he's doing now today? No. Second opinion, fact here. If Mr. Weah had decided to do what Mr. Bronsky is doing today in 2011, What we're going to be the response of the Liberian people to this? You tell me. What we're going to be the response of the Liberian people?
Before we move further, this is a program that I only bring one expert in our Liberian politics at time, and this is the guest I got here today. We are here to discuss the issue, the response. We are reacting to the response from the Supreme Court today. This morning, the Supreme Court brought up our decisions that the case must go back. The case that Brunskin took to them must go back to Election Commission. So I brought up my brother here, who is MA master degree holder in politics, in environmental something that he knows of, and he introduced himself that way. He also got a little bit of knowledge of politics, so he go into the mind of our politician, and that's the reason why he's here for tonight. And we will not be taking call from nobody else. If you want to hang out with us to know more about Liberian politics, this is what we are here for. And we're not here for 45 minutes. We already spent almost 20-25 minutes. So let me come back to you, Randy. His name is Randy.
Sure.
I'm Tunis. This is all about Liberia. If you're a Liberian, you can stick around. If you're not, you're interested in Liberia politics, you can stick around. Let me come back to you again. What about Uri involvement into this court case? What is involvement in this?
Well, these are all losers. All of them are losers. And I'm sorry to be so broad with the word loser. They are all losers because you know what? Uri is on record for telling anyone in Liberia who is eligible to vote to never vote or align themselves with anyone who is part of the Unity Party establishment. But guess what? His own faithful media talk show host, who has said all kinds of nasty things about Mr. Borka, is today in the backyard of Mr. Borka talking about how good he is. So what do you expect from Mr. Uri? These are all political parasites that are looking for anywhere or any used body to breathe into. But with the citizen are not like that. CDC remain resolute. CDC is a horse that will always welcome those who deflected, who went AWOL. But they are not going out there to tell you that if you go to join Unity Party, if you go to join ALP, if you go to join ANC, we will not support you. No, CDC always have that open arm to bring back their members. Because you know what? People can go and experience for themselves and they will come back. So what does that tell you about Mr. Uri? The question is, why did he in the first place even establish a political party when he doesn't have a principle for which he stands? He violates the own words that come out of his mouth. He violates those words. So to be true with you, Mr. Uri doesn't have any political ground to stand on. He doesn't have anything to rely on. If you don't have nothing to rely on, you will fall for anything. Which is why now he's lying himself.
What about Cummins?
Cummins is a disturbed guy. All right? He's a complete disturbed individual. He had the opportunity to make or to break, but he continued to break himself down. He said we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. But he doesn't understand the political culture of our country.
And getting the same result.
Yeah. So now why has he done? The Liberian people have suffered for 12 years on the UP administration. Mr. Brunskin has done nothing to change anything to make it right. Today he's throwing his support behind these two people. So what does that tell us? He's no different from the diaspora Liberians that go to to go to Liberia just for themselves. This man, all he should have done when he lost the election was to sit on the fence and see what these people are made of. But instead, he joined with them. Now he's part of the supporter group. So ANC, ALP, Unity Party, Liberty Party, call them from today on the supporter. They are all supporters in our country. They don't want to see the country move forward. It's very disheartening to our people.
For those of you who are listening to our program here, this is mainly for a CDC, a sedition. This is a sedition program. You welcome anybody. You can be a Unity Party member. You can be a Cummins supporter. You can be Brunskin supporter. You're welcome to hang out with us. But mainly, this is all about CDC Party, this program here. And I brought this young man here. He's a true sedition, and he's also well knowledge of the Liberian politics. That's why he's here. So you can put any derogative marks you want to. We agree to that.
We
We
welcome that. We
we
welcome that.
welcome
You know
all of
what? We
that.
welcome that. Y'all can keep criticizing. As long as you criticizing, you listen to the program, we welcome that. Because you know what? The truth must be told. These guys have
Exactly.
been in the political vanguard for all these years. They have done nothing. Look at George Weah. They were calling the men who are going to disturb the peace. They didn't say that a few months ago that they're going to disturb the peace. Now what
Exactly.
happening now, Tunis? They are the one now who are the spoiler, who trying to derail the peace process and don't want our country to move forward. They
So
are the spoiler. They are the spoiler.
what can you tell our Liberian people in the diaspora that what is really going on for them to understand it from your point of view?
Well, our folks in the diaspora, this is what happened here. Every time we advocate that when will Liberia become a better country, this is the opportunity that we have never been able to experience. Even our fathers, our mother, and our grands and our granny have never been able to experience. And that is the transformation of power from one government to another. Many of us have seen it happen in other countries where we reside. This is an opportunity that we supposed to at least believe in, to say, you know what, let me see this piece of opportunity before I die. But Mr. Brunskin, with the DNA from the 1990 days, it had resonated in him. He don't want to see that process. He don't want us to tell our children that we one time saw a transformation of government from one leadership to another. So all we need to do from over here is to condemn his action and let us tell our people back home to trust the decision of NEC. If America can say, you know what, George Bush won the election, Al Gore, you lost the election, Donald Trump won the election, Hillary Clinton, you lost the election, let us trust our system. Because our system must improve in order for us to move forward. So that is my message to our people in the diaspora. We must learn to tell our people to trust the decision that come from the authorities and those that are in authority in our country. Flomoyan did it for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Let Mr. Kokoya do it for this round. He had declared 2 winners.
What are some of the changes that you think if Ambassador Weah became president of Liberia, what are some of the changes you think will be put in place in Liberia?
Well, first of all, we have human capacity issue. We have the issue of corruption. We have the issue of divide and rule, which is why today you're seeing a lot of folks supporting other political parties, even though back in the days they said the political party of the unity government was bad. But it has resulted to 2 parties now, CDC and Unity Party. The divide and rule game, where everybody goes in there for themselves and not for the entire country. Ambassador Weah, when he becomes president, which he will in the not too distant future, right after we get into the runoff election, he's going to win the thing. Is to number one, to look at the way to break that chain, to break that umbilical cord between people who are depending on some political individual rather than giving them that independent mind. He's going to build a human capacity. He's going to make sure that people marry what they deserve. He's going to make sure that he make our people to love our country more than the very country we live in. That is the mindset. And that dream cannot be realized by Ambassador Weah himself. That dream can be realized by every Liberian who is watching this program now and who want the best for their children. Tunis, every day when I sit here, I see my kids grow up. And when I hear war in the country, people talking about war, want to bring war to Liberia, wherein when they get sick, even their fingernails hurt, they're on the plane coming to America or going somewhere else. And you have bulk of people in the country that are not able to get the same opportunity. And then when you hear them talking about, oh, I believe in the justice system. But when something happens, they're ready to take out the plane to leave. Those individuals, like Mr. Bronsky, like Mr. Boyka, like Mr. Alexander Cummings, like Mr. Uri, those people don't have love for that country. This is a man who can tear place. And this is something that he has been consistently being on for 3 successive elections. To see today that, oh, because he didn't win the election, he wants to show that our country can become better. My word to the people of Liberia is he had the opportunity to make it better in 2005. He had the opportunity to make it in 2011. He had the opportunity to make it between 2012 to 2016. He did none of those things, but because he feel that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is on the side of Ambassador Weah, which is untrue, and he knows very well that he is going to be slapped. This man is 66 years old. The next election, he's probably going to be over 70 years old. He will stand no chance. These are all the above reasons why he's fighting the losing battle that he's not going to win, because in weeks to come, the Supreme Court will overturn his decision
But this man,
and he will join the population.
after the last election, this is the man that told us that he wasn't going to run again. That was his last chance. But
correct.
again, when he came back, he said God told him to run. I mean, is this a prophet? With God told him to run, but God didn't tell him that he was not going to win? I mean, can you say something about this? Because really,
well, he's just a con artist. That's who he is. You know, con artists always come back with new tricks to be allowed back into the system. All right? He's a man of no purpose. He's a man of no vision. He doesn't want to build institution. All he wants to do is to build his self-esteem, to seek things for himself and his immediate family. That's who he is. Because if he said that he was not going to be running, he was going back to a farm, what triggered him to come back? Now he's back. Now look what he presented to us. Complete chaos. That's why he's presenting to us. Chaos, chaos, chaos.
What do you think? What do you think Boakai leadership would do to us, we the Liberian?
Boakai is not going to have a leadership. Boakai leadership is
if anything happened, we don't know this. Let's presume that if he became president, what is
then I will close my eyes. I will close my eyes to discuss it, because it's not going to happen in my life. No. It's not going to happen. So let me close my eye and discuss that. I'm being very honest with you here. And this is where my analytical skill comes. This man has ran 12 years with the Unity Party, has done nothing. 42 years, he has done nothing but to preach war, fear-mongering politics. It's not going to work. So in his leadership, look what he's doing now in his party. He doesn't have a message for the people of Liberia. He relies on Bronskin to disturb our people's mind, thinking that he's going to get elected. But the more he continues to carry on and support this behavior of Mr. Bronskin, he is sinking himself more deeper to the bottom of this earth, where he's going to lose big time. Because this is the time that he's supposed to come out when people are talking about war, to say, you know what? We are at war in this country, people. Whoever is preaching war politics, I'm not for it. I want to make sure that the administration that I'm serving now, we want to make sure that where we were not able to get caught up, when we get into the next phase, we will do our best. But Mr. Boakai is silent on everything. He's silent on some of his supporters talking about there will be war. He's silent on the fact that the Unity Party is dragging this thing and he's taking his side with them. He's not being a leader. He doesn't have the stigma. He doesn't have the stamina. This man is a total loser. He's a complete failure to himself, to his family, to the people of Liberia. Therefore, he is not going to be elected. So let's just forget about Boakai. Boakai is just in the race because he has been elected by the little influence that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf left with the Unity Party through partisan, which is why he's in this race. But to say that he's going to spy Ambassador Weah, that is going to be in my eye closed dream world, but not in my eyes open reality world, because he's not going nowhere, Tunis. What record does he have to run on now? All right? If you have a better record, you will be talking about your successes. You will be talking about what you have accomplished for this country. This is a man who said he was part like an old car. So we are looking for Jatro to jack that car on our old and junk it. That's all he fit to do. That's all we're looking for right now.
Let's look at Prince Johnson. I mean, before the election, Prince Johnson was bad-mouthing Weah because of some incident took place in Nimba.
Correct.
Between Bronskin Party and the Citizen Party. And he came out bad-mouthing that if Ambassador Weah become president of Liberia, there will be a war. And now we are seeing him on board with Weah, how this gameplay all of a sudden he switched to Weah, the man who was bitterly against George Weah and the CDC party, calling them all kinds of names, that they are hoodlum, they are They are grown-up boys, motorbike boys in the street. They know nothing. They are not educated. If it become president, there will be a war. There will be something. Now he's on board with George Weah. How that happened?
Well, that just politics. All right, that just politics. He was only making those fear mongering. Number one, he's a guy who lived through the war. He's a guy who came to power through making name for himself through the war. So he felt that it was going to resonate with him. Guess what? It didn't resonate. All right? He came where? In the fourth place, I guess. He came in the fourth place. So he had learned a lesson that, look, you can scare the people sometime, but you cannot scare the people all the time, which I really did not support. All right? But here is the thing that I won't take. You know, I gave him 5% of my trust. He's a guy who believes in principle. And if only Mr. Bronsky could live by his own principle that society will appreciate, it will make him a great person. Here's why. Senator Johnson said the reason, and the only reason he's aligning himself with Ambassador Weah is when they went to Ganta, they all, that was Bronsky, Cummings, Ure, Ambassador Weah, and the Johnson himself, they made that commitment that if one of the parties succeeded and come face to face with Unity Party, they will all support that party. So he said he was mongering politics. It failed, but he did not resort to say, you know what, I'm not going to support this guy. Because you know what? All the 19 political parties that were on that platform in the campaign, their goal was to unseat the Unity Party. If that is true to themselves and have gone to the second round with Unity Party, were they going to align themselves with the Unity Party and say, take it, we're not going to go for second round? Or were they going to say, you know what, whoever wins, including Ambassador Weah, was he going to support whoever from the opposition party was going to take on Unity Party? I would tell you, say yes. Ambassador Weah was going to do exactly that because you know what? He's a man who wants to see change in our country. No matter who was going to be the front runner to meet the Unity Party, he was going to support them. But you know what? It only shows that Mr. Cummings, Mr. Ure, Mr. Bronsky, all of these people don't have the country at heart. They claim by their mouth, but by their action, it shows that they don't have that country at heart. So everything that our people have suffered for the past 12 years, Ellis Cummings, Mr. Bronsky, Mr. Ure, they have been fooling us. Not knowing that they appreciate the suffering our people are going through because they see that as an economic benefit for themselves, which is why they are aligning themselves now with Mr. Boyka of the Unity Party. That is the trick that they are bringing here. Because, Tuna, you tell me, if you've been complaining, like you say, don't vote for anyone who is part of the Unity Party. But here is he today, aligning himself with the Unity Party. Ellis Cummings said, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. Here is he now, aligning himself with the Unity Party. You see my point?
Do you really think that these elections going to go on the second round, or we're going to go for rerun or something like recount? What you're thinking?
There's not going to be no rerun. There's not going to be no rerun. We're going for the runoff. Mr. Bronsky's case will be a lesson learned. It will be a lesson learned that the next election, whatever we have brought up in 2005 and 2011 that was overlooked, what Mr. Bronsky had brought in 2017, those are things that the Election Commission will take as a lesson learned to improve our electoral process. This system is going to go through to the runoff. Nothing going to stop it. Here's why. Reason number one, we had 2 front runners. Reason number 2, we got a deadline to meet. Reason number 3, we don't have the financial means to go and waste our time. Number 4, our country needs to move forward and not to move backward. Bronsky, Ure, Cummings, Boyka, they want our country to go backward. We're not going to go backward. I was in my 20s when I left Liberia under the same Bronsky shenanigan. I've been in the country now for over 22 years. I don't want any Liberian to go through that same nonsense that I went through. The future of Liberia belongs to Liberians. Those Liberians that are not opportune to come to this country or travel out of the country, I want to make sure that they get the opportunity. which is why on the sidetrack, I do not support 100% dual citizenship. I support dual citizenship with restriction. Because if I came in this country and benefited here, I want to make sure that Ambassador Weah, when he supported dual citizenship, he should have limitation to it. Any Liberian who is truly educated and qualified for the job in Liberia should be given an opportunity. These are the things that I want to hear Mr. Boyka, Honorable Ure, Edis coming talking about. But guess what? Those guys have been cheering, not in Liberia, but all the country. And Una Ambassador Weah is working in the interest of our people to get those things done. I always say this for a fact. People may be criticizing me. Hold on for 1 second before I lost my thought. I always say this. I am supporting Ambassador Weah today. If he does become president, which he will, and he starts to screw up, trust me, I'm a well-qualified person who works for one of the biggest pharmaceutical industry in America. I don't need a job in Liberia. I will come right back here. And if you two does not come to sit with me, I will come back here and start to expose some of the things that I think that Ambassador Weah is not doing for the people of Liberia. Because you know what? I want to make sure that every Liberian who did not have the opportunity to come into this country or other country should be given that opportunity for the change he's advocating for. So the battle between the change that we're advocating for is just starting with me. All I've asked God for is long life, so you guys can see that the very Randy is a very controversial person if things are not going right for him. So the people of Liberia, I am not just here supporting CDC because I have an interest. No, my interest is already here. I already built my career for myself. All I'm advocating for right now is you that in Liberia to get that opportunity. Tuna, do you know when you're 40 years old, you have at least 20 more years to live your life? How many people in Liberia in their 40s, in their 30s are able to say, you know what, I'm going to take my child out on a Saturday to get an ice cream. I'm going to take my child to a private school and see my child go through that private school fence. Not many people doing that, my brother. Not many people doing that. And then to see Mr. Bronsky, who live in our country, which I don't live now, and see how our people have been strangulated and he continue to suffocate our people. Why? Why? For the sake of power? That's why we should go through this thing? Mr. Bronsky is wrong. He must be able to backtrack. He must relinquish himself from what he pursuing and let the peace process go ahead. If he have an agenda to pursue, let him align himself with Mr. Boyka, take his supporters to support Mr. Boyka when they get into the election. If his candidate in his dream wins, then he can bring the idea. But guess what? If Mr. Boyka and Mr. Ure and ANC and Mr. Bronsky want their real vision to come to reality, and Ambassador Weah wins and they bring those things before him, and Ambassador Weah says no, trust me, I will be back here supporting all of them. Because you know what? What benefit one Liberian benefit all Liberians. Our people have suffered for a very long time. Can you imagine you see people in the country begging? In your own country you begging? God have mercy on us, Tunis. Sorry for interrupting your question.
What do you think that people are complaining so much about in Liberia right now? Like, for instance, probably it could be rural condition, hunger, or currency devaluating. In the first 100 years, 100 days of George Weah presidency, what do you think he's going to tackle first?
Well, as a political analyst, as a policy and regulatory analyst, I firstly would like to see Ambassador Weah carry on a full-blown audit of every ministry to determine the deficit we have. If we identify the deficit, to have the transparent leadership from the executive mansion, I would like to see Ambassador Weah having a weekly press conference to start. And as long as they get into that rhythm, the next thing now is to make sure that they continue to inform the people. Our people need to be very, very abreast to how he's going to run his government. If Eddie Johnson said he is leaving maybe $2.2 billion or millions of dollars in debt, he needs to declare that. The next thing he needs to do is to reconcile the country. I feel so bad when I see some of my brothers and sisters aligning themselves with politicians. I don't like them. I don't appreciate them. Liberia is all we have. Some people live 30 years old. They don't even have what we have, Tunis, in our country. I could have been one of them. I could have been in our country today, hustling, which is why I'm on the side advocating for them. I have seen these politicians have done nothing for our country. So let us give Ambassador Weah the opportunity. If he screw up, we all can come here and put him on the grill and grill him good. Because you know what?
There,
Our democracy is making progress.
there is a question from one of um, the watcher here saying Sarah, her name is Sarah Jackson, saying that what made you think that only CDC is the one that can change Liberia? What made you think
Because,
so?
yes, CDC is the only party. Guess what? The name Zogos. It was not Ambassador Weir that created the Zogo. The Zogo was those who fought in the war that were chewed out. You know when you chew a bubble gum, you take the sweet from in it, you chew it out. After the war, Mongol came, they created the war in our country. They turned the young guys into Zogos, and they spit them out. When Ambassador Weir came, he was the only man the UN saw that during the war, when he was playing, people listening and want to hear his name. The UN brought him in as a peace ambassador. Eddie Johnson started talking, which is why those kids, they see him based on his foundation of where he came from and decide to align themselves with him. They see a future through them. And guess what? He has stayed in there for almost what? 12 years. He ate with them. He ride with them. He slept with them.
Let me
And the
just
party
hold you
remained
there for a
consistent.
second, please. Let me just hold you there for a second. For those of you who are listening, this program here is all about CDC, and it's only take one person at a time. We cannot take more than one person. This is Facebook Live. It's not any particular program we are using. We are using Facebook Live. But right now, Facebook Live only take one person at a time, so we cannot invite more than one. And right now, my guest here is Randy Dapper, who lives in the Pennsylvania area. I want him to get into our politician here and give us some sense from there, what they mean, all of what the games are going on, about the players and the Liberian people. So go ahead. Sorry about stopping you.
Yeah, sure. So again, CDC, under the leadership of Ambassador, we have become consistent with our plight, the plight of our people. He remained in the struggle. He listened to them. Can you imagine people were on the CDC compound when soldiers went there and killed them? It remind me of what happened on the university campus when I was little. West Samuel those sent people to go and kill people at the University of Liberia. The CDC went through that on November the 7th. Ambassador Weir did not pack it low and say, you know what, I'm done. The politicians don't want to see no peace in this country. Some of us have done it. We packed our load, we left. But he continued to stay with the people. So he remained consistent. So the people feel that the future is in Ambassador Weir. Even Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has seen it. Robert Sirleaf has seen it. With all the popularity and good things that Mr. Sirleaf did, when he went in the contest with Ambassador Weir, he lost. So the people are giving their trust to Ambassador Weir. Is he going to be 100% perfect? I would say no. Does he need our support? Yes. Every Liberian, let us put Ambassador Weir there and testing. If you got an issue, you go to Ambassador Weir, present your issue. Let's see how he's going to handle it. These politicians have failed us. Ambassador Weir continue to be the torchbearer of the Zogos in our country. Why will you call somebody Zogo when they were not Zogo to begin with? Even the same very man, Mr. Bronsky, have been here talking about Zogos.
There
Right?
is a brother here whose name is Musa Jate.
Okay.
Musa Jate. He's coming here. He says you are tired pushing hour in America, so you are looking for job. My brother, we know you guys.
Look. I'm not here to brag. Today, that's why I say other people have their comment. All right. You see the way I dress like this? I just came from work. All right. I just came from work. I work in Princeton. I don't know where you know Princeton, but you should do your research on Princeton. I work with one of the top medical device company. If your grandfather's heart is broken and he's about to die, we make the device as an engineer. We make those devices. It's just a generator. When the electric go off in Liberia, the generator kick in. We make the device called pacemaker. We sell them $500 per piece. Liberia cannot afford to buy that. We make those things $500 per piece. And we sell that over the whole world.
But before you explain yourself,
my guests
that I bring on my show here, they are well-educated people, well-known people. They know how to get into the mind. They got degrees that some of us don't even have. So let us respect them. They are Liberian.
No, Tunis, don't give credence to Don't give credence to the people. Let them have their say. This is
No, no,
what
no.
democracy is all about.
I told them that you can make any derogative remark you want to. This is what the show is all about. But we just want you to understand that these people that we bring on the show here, they are not people to play with. They are people who are well knowledgeable
Let
of
me
whatever
let
they
me
say.
let me tell them this story. Anybody that listens to me, go to the Librarian EPA tomorrow and ask for Randy. Your EPA director comes to me every time for advice. They even gave me a job. They offered me a job. I turned it down. I bought my Camara when he was at the bank, central bank. I have those information. They gave me the job. When I told them how much I'm making here, Ellen O'Pratt from the labor ministry, she said, "You're making too much money. We can't pay you that money." And I said, "Okay, if you're paying the people from NOCA $30,000, why you can't pay me how much I'm making?" She said, "Oh, we don't have that money for you." But you know what? I wasn't ready to work for them. But I'm ready to support Ambassador Weah, which is why I'm not looking for a job in Liberia. Because number one, my company will not let me go. My wife will not let me go. I can only become a consultant. Right now, Tunis, I'm working with a company in Germany right now. Let me finish this point. I'm working with a company in Germany that when Ambassador Weah become president, I'm going to bring that company to purify every drinking water in every community. Because you know what? The typhoid fever. You know where the typhoid fever starts from? It starts from the very dump pile you dump your dirt. The rat, the roaches, crawl on all those things, come to your house, which is why typhoid fever is so high in the country. So when Ambassador Weah gets there, my role will be to train people, train health workers, train young adults in school, in colleges, how to become a better Liberian to protect the country. So when it comes to talking about looking for pushing cartoon, trust me, I go to work at 9 a.m. I have a staff meeting every morning. I sit down in my office until I get tired. So just forget about that, my brother. I don't want to brag about that, but since Tune brought it up, I want to say that because you know what? There are many Liberians who don't want to hear what I'm saying. It's very, very bad. I don't believe in that. But it just came up because Tune said that. But when it comes to degree, trust me. Right now, I'm doing my second master now in the pharmaceutical industry. When you live in America, the pharmaceutical industry make money. Right? Money, money, money.
There's another lady here, Ellen Paul. She
Okay.
said, wait a minute, let me see it. Oh man, where's the Ellen woman, man? Okay, right here. She said, "You're bringing educated people to your show when CDC don't believe in education." Can you elaborate on that?
No, 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 no. That's the mindset. That is the mindset of our people. It's just like in America, they say all the black people are all criminal. So why are you bringing more criminal? No. It is the politician. It is the boycott. It is the URI. It is the ANC. They all are calling the people Zogos. If I come to Liberia, I'm not going to hang out with the folks. I'm going to West Point. Right now, I'm in contact with many communities that are in deplorable condition. My goal is to make sure that I help. And I can guarantee you, when I come to Liberia, I'm going to go into these communities and I'm going to help people. Because if we as Liberians try to denigrate our own people, then what you expect the Osa man, what you expect the Lebanese man, what you expect the Indian man to say to your people? It could have been me to say, "Oh, you're not educated." So let us not create that divide between ourselves because only the enemy will win. If you see your brother down, give him helping hand. If you see your sister down, give them helping hand. Which is why I pray every day that I must do something to help everyone. If it will come through Ambassador Weah, which I believe it will be, is to come. Come to Liberia, provide services at the University of Liberia, provide community leadership. Take, for example, Tunis, we have billions in our country. What if all the natural disasters happening in the world happen in our country? How many kids in the school know how to escape fire when the school is on fire? How many market women in the market know that when the building is on fire, when we have an earthquake, when the Ministry of Finance is shaking, how do people get out to be safe? How do they know all these things? It's through education. The reason we're not educated because there were some who decided to bring war to our country, who never talk about the future, that this life we live in is a handover and take over. When you serve your term, you give time to the other to serve. So I don't believe in people not educated. If people are not educated, I will ask myself, but what have the system done that make our people not to be educated. In America here, it's a mandatory requirement that everyone graduate from high school. Why don't we have that in Liberia? Why don't we encourage that in Liberia? But we have some ministers who sit in a car and invite young girls and exploit them. We have lawmakers who exploit young girls. But nobody's saying anything about that because they want to use the slavery or economic wealth to keep our people down. I lived in the swamp. I lived in Capitol Shop when I was in Liberia because my parents could not afford it, which is why when I came here, the opportunity was given to me, I learned to the best of my ability. And I want to make sure that those that don't have that opportunity to come here, they should be given the first preference in Liberia to get that opportunity, which is why I will always challenge Ambassador Weir that those who are behind him today, if he become president, give them scholarship, send it abroad, let them learn, and be able to come back and use their brain and their hands to build our country of Tunis. So let the people have their say. Let them have their say.
There's another person there, Buster T. Heenan Jr. With all the million we had, what structure can the Liberian be proud of to show the world? And let me see. He move on to say, has we invested in Liberia? People keep writing too. Let me just
focus on one question and give it to me.
That's what I'm saying. Has we invested in Liberia like his fellow football players in their country?
Let me ask you one question. Eddie is an economist, right? Dr. Toba Nantibo is a PhD. Amos is a PhD. How many of them have built PhD university in Liberia? Someone want to question people's background. All the bookish people who have in Liberia, why is the University of Liberia like that? I mean, you should be thinking that Liberia should be offering PhD in every area now. Okay, the Bronsky man who is the top lawyer. How many top lawyers do we have? What is the best law school in Liberia? Look, we need to start joking about individualizing things to move our country forward. Ambassador Weir is here with vision. If you see Didier Dropa, you see Matomo, you see Samuel Ito, go and do a due diligence or studies as to what their government did to offer them the opportunity to build things. Secondly, look at the time Ambassador Weir was at the plight of making money. What did he do? He was in different refugee camps, helping people. His time of making money at that time is not compared to what DJ Dropa and Samuel Ito are making today. Ambassador Weir took most of his wealth to support our people that were in displaced camp. But today, he's back in the country trying to rebuild the country. Those that destroy the country, that said we should level Morovia, what have they done today to rebuild the country?
Okay,
I'll be back.
We have already spent our time. We were here for 45 minutes, but we have gone up to more than an hour, just a little bit over an hour. Please go to YouTube and check on his campaign rally. But so if you won't mind for us to close because we can't stay here.
Yeah. I need to get a case to bear now, so yeah, we can wrap up now.
All right, let me hear your closing statement so that we can close. And before you give your closing statement, this is something that we do here twice a week, Monday and Thursday. We're always here to let you know about the things that CDC is about to do in Liberia and talk about politics in Liberia. This is Tony's show, and my guest here tonight is Randy Dapo. Okay, and tomorrow, if any of you want to join my show, my name is, if you have to be a sedition though.
Let them come with open mind. Exactly.
So you can join us. My number is 917. If you want to take the number down, 917-709-2944. You can get in touch with me and I can schedule you so that I can feature you on my show. So let me give my brother a chance to give his departing statement. Please take your time. Anytime.
Look, guy, first of all, I want to apologize. My kids in the background here. I'm a family man. I take care of my kids. That's one of my priority here. And so please forgive me for the background noise. Number two, what I would like to say here, Tunis, is, guys, can you guys give me just 2 minutes? Let me wrap up. What I would like to say here is I encourage everyone to come on the platform to express their view, express their frustration. And, I'm not refusing you to say if you support URE, ANC, you shouldn't come here and have your say. It's free to me. You can have your say. You can say anything you want to say. But what matters here is I want to make sure that you as a Liberian, no matter who... Sit down, please. Sorry, Tunis. No matter who you are, I want to make sure that the opportunity that every Liberian in this country, America, and other parts of the world, the opportunity they're giving to their children, you should also be able to give that opportunity to your children in Liberia. You should be able to take your children to the ice cream shop. You should be able to take your children to the better school. You should be able to take your mom, your aunt to JFK without paying any money before they get treated. This administration is the first time in my life that I have seen people die at the footstep of the hospital and they're not getting treated. Wherein when their people get sick, they come to America and get the first-class treatment. My goal is to make sure that Ambassador, we have provide the necessary accessibility for those handicapped people that Mr. Barker had denied. My goal is to make sure that the soccer academy that the government did not provide enough resources for people who want to pursue other careers. I want to make sure that when you're a football player, you should be respected in our country. When you're a basketball player, you should be respected in our country. There's no reason why when you're a basketball player, you cannot diversify your skills. I was a computer scientist. Why do I become an engineer? Why do I become a pharmacist now? Because the opportunity is given to us in America to diversify our skills, to move forward. Liberia is our country. We must argue every day, but at the end of the day, we must look for the best leader. And I think Ambassador Weah have been consistent with our people. He has been moderate. We saw that in 2011 where he said, let peace go ahead. Let Eddie Johnson set it rule. But here is Mr. Bronsky, who has denied the fact that he doesn't want for the peace to go on. He has decided to become intransigent to the peace. He is wasting people's time. There are people who want to go to school and learn. There are people who want to improve the health sector, the environment, the working condition. He's completely against all those things by remaining intransigent and saying that if this don't happen, we cannot move forward. So CDC is the way forward because Ambassador Weah have become the symbol of peace. He's the man who I believe in. With all the struggle that I went through, with all the education that I have in America, I have refused the opportunity from other government. But I believe that my expertise can support Ambassador Weah to become the person that I think he can make that country. He's a winner, he's a fighter, and he's going to make sure that he sees the thing through. My final advice to the sedition is we remain resolute. Keep your focus. All we do is we must wait because that's the right thing to do. Because it's the right thing, because the right thing comes through miracle. And through miracle, we will win this election and we'll prove to our adversary that Ambassador Weah is the best leader that we ever have in our lifetime, in our history. He has made the world record and he's going to make that record in Liberia, and therefore we should support him. Tunis, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank everyone who came on today. Look, keep bringing us here. Let us discuss. You know, those critics, as long as they continue to listen to us and post their question, in the time to come, we'll re-engineer their mind to allow with Ambassador Weah and our philosophy to move the country forward.
Now, what do you say? Sao Muya?
Yeah, so Muya Sao. Muya Sao. That is our motto. That is the motivation. When you feel that energy, then you will be prepared to go and vote. So don't mind Mr. Bronsky. Let him do all his dancing. He will get tired. He will get beat up. All we must do is to wait until the day the election is ready. We go out there and get Ambassador Weah that victory. We will come in there and show our support.
I appreciate you here, and I look forward to see you on Thursday.
Thank you, sir. No. Thursday, hold on. Thursday, I won't be here. I got a minor surgery to go through. I'm going through a minor surgery.
We will come there to you.
I'll be in my hospital. I'll be on the hospital bed. So my wife wants me to take this. Muya, okay. Muya, CDC, Muya.
Muya. All right, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
go take care of the kids.
I hope my matter can take my place on Thursday or any CDC. Like you said, this is our CDC show. We have all the expertise. Right now, before I leave, we got God, my fellow engineer from Illinois. He had 23 people in the country that are providing medical help to our people in Liberia. Every citizen will be tasked to carry a project to Liberia. I am looking forward after the election to do my part. So those that are on the other side will see what I'm made of. And they will say, you know what, Randy, we're sorry for prejudging you. but we didn't know the kind of suffer. Tony, you know the kind of person I am. You
No, I
know.
know, man. I have no doubt. Thank you so much. Let me try to
All
see.
right.
Let me try to see if I can bring Mama to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
No sound here. I'm not seeing these things here. So, guys, let me apologize. I think you guys were not hearing me here. All right. So, I was saying, let me say a big thank you to everyone who watched the video. I was sitting here watching the video with you guys, but I was doing some work here. Tomorrow, I got a very big project tomorrow at work. So, I'm here trying to prep myself for that presentation tomorrow. So, I was here watching you guys and stuff like that. But as I said, everything that I say on Facebook is already recorded. Since I got into Liberian politics before Facebook, I got audio of things that I said. I got video of things that I said and continue to say. And time after time, I will bring the video out for some of you guys that follow me to get to know what I'm made of. I don't just come here and come with empty talk. From giving you video evidence of myself, giving you real time information on issue in the country or outside the country. When I look at all these things, all I can say with no improvement, with no progress in the country, my only prediction is that the country will not be a better country in this 2065. So that's what I have to say. So guys, again, I'd like to say thank you. Share the video because the video from the beginning, I mentioned about what Joe Weah should have done when he got elected. And they just in the interview, the guy you saw there is the guy who and I ran the CCC election. He had a very good in-depth analysis video about Facebook closing down, and every video he had a loss. The only one that we kept was the particular video interview that we had. And that was the one where I myself re-download that one and kept it for myself. But that's the Tunis guy. Whenever you hear me saying, oh, Tunis and myself, we ran a CC campaign, he's still a sedition though. This guy is still a strong sedition. Matter of fact, when I went to Massachusetts recently while coming from Mass, I was passing through New York. I called him up and say, hey, my man, what's up? And we are still friends. And, he respect my opinion. And, we ran a campaign. But as you listen to the broadcast, the podcast, I said, if you tune it, doesn't come to sit with me, that's the guy we're talking about. He doesn't come to sit with me for all to criticize the government. I will come alone and do it alone. So for those of you that follow me, that's a reality there. All right. So guys, let me say a big thank you to you guys for watching the video. I don't want to spoil your day, spoil your time, but I just want to let you know that I was here watching the video as well with you. It's just that I was not broadcasting. So thank you guys so much. And I'm signing off now. See you guys, man. Bye. Good night. All right. I got more work to do here. Got to go do the people work, my friend. Yango, enjoy your day, man. I saw all your stuff here and all the who came in here. All right. Nova Kate. And I think I saw my sister Edisana Hayes, all you guys in here. So yeah, thank you so much, man. Much love for you guys. Bye now. All right. Just share the video. Hit the like button, share the video. That's all I ask of you guys. All right.